Well, hey, howdy, hey. We are very close to being done with my experiment. It's been unique, to say the least. I never wanted to try and make a game of any kind because I knew it would start to consume me. I knew how difficult it would be, and I still stand by that. I am indeed somebody who loves the puzzle in that sense. Currently, this is the game, and it does work. We have an attack. We have a little searchlight. There's creatures that come out. Kind of bare bones. But I learned something in the process. There's a lot you can do with this. And you know, I suddenly have a game idea that I really want to do. So that raises the question, do I pursue it? Do I pursue the harebrained game idea that I have? No. No, you do not. Not unless there's a good reason. While I have this idea for a game, by the way, this is not it. I came up with it along the way. It would take me probably, based upon how long this game took to build up, it will take probably 1 to 2 years, probably 1.5 to be honest. And I do not see that really happening. Doesn't mean that it can't happen. I'm kind of open to that sort of stuff. But I've learned along the way that it is important to do things that people want. It took me a long time to kind of come to that realization. There's a lot of things I would like to be able to do that I found out people don't want to see. And there's a lot of people that have asked me about a game. But in all reality, it's actually a fairly small number. Basically, it would just be another harebrained idea thrown into the giant pile of harebrained ideas that I have. Oh, golly. Getting tangled up here. Kind of a downer for a start, but I kind of have to remember that. And so if I say that, well, by me saying that, it helps me to remember, like, hey, don't go too far down this path. Otherwise, it will be something that you regret. And there's only one way that will really change my mind, and that is if interest in it grows. But it would have to be after the next project comes out. Then I can start to think about this. Until then, this is going to be like many of my ideas, where I put it on the back burner and wait for the right time for it to come out. Right now, I'm more interested in getting Milo and the Demon Bear out. That story, I put a lot of time into it, and I want to see it through to its conclusion. After that, this becomes possible. Anyway, we're going to start off by doing a little bit of the artwork for that game, for this game that I currently made. And we're going to be using this tool. I've never used it, but I've watched people use it. And it is... I've seen enough of it to where I'm like, I absolutely want to use it. Because it is so effective for pixel art. And most of the artwork was done on... what was the tool? Pixel art on the web. And now I just want to refine it a little bit more. Yes, did this cost a little bit of money? Yeah, that's fine. I was going to get the tool anyway, not just for this project. So without any more nonsense, we're just going to dive on into this. I'm going to go silent for a while as I try and figure out this program. Starting off with this horrible light mode. Let's see if I can turn it to dark mode. Is this a program for pixel art? It is indeed. How's it going this evening? This is a program that I've seen other artists use, and I decided that it's finally time to take a crack at it myself. I've been using other tools that kind of do something similar, and this one has been on my list of programs to get for a long time. It's a relatively cheap one too. It's $20 if I remember right, and you can get it through Steam. What's so different about the one that you're using from Clip Paint or Adobe? Good question. When you do artwork, every tool that you use has limitations. It also has strengths. Clip Paint Studio is really good for graphic novels. It's really good for manga, for elaborate illustrations. Photoshop's good for editing and compositing. If you have a photo, you're going to want to use Photoshop. If you have a painting, you want to use Clip Paint. If you have game sprites, you want Sprite or something similar. Sprite is the one that I go with. It has the best reputation and continues to be a great benefit to the industry. One of the neat things I can do that other programs cannot is this. I'm able to move around the elements and you don't get blurring. If I was to do this in Clip Paint, I would be having immense problems with sharpness. This tool helps to eliminate a lot of those problems. It also makes things that are well prepared for things that will use a sprite-like structure. One of the neat things is that you can do animations in this and export it as a sprite sheet. You cannot do that in other programs, not without a third-party tool. This one does it natively. I'm a big fan of that. Probably do need to change the UI a little bit. Actually, wait a minute. No, color needs to go up. I don't want that. Want color to go over here, because this is more normal for me. There we go. Going over to this is more like a Photoshop setup, and I'm much more used to this. How do I do a multiply? Shading. No, can't do that. It may be something I'll have to try and figure out later on. Do non-developer pixel artists use it as well? Yes, I know a couple of pixel artists, and they're actually the ones that kind of told me how great this tool was. And I got to watch their stream, get familiar with it, and I had the desire to want to get it myself. It just took a long time to finally get to that point. But now here we are, years later, and I now finally went out and got it. Which is kind of interesting because some people love using this for all their artwork. There are people that tend to like the pixel art style. I'm not a huge fan of it. I see the benefit to it. I see its limitations as well. I prefer higher quality stuff, and pixel art is limiting. But it's not bad by any stretch. And some people do incredible work with this tool. Absolutely incredible. It's going to take me a while to finally get to that sort of level of skill. But if I was to say if there is a tool that is definitely worth doing artwork with, this is actually one of the better ones. At least if you like the style. If you don't like the style, then Clip Paint Studio is the way to go. But Clip Paint does get a bit more expensive. It's cheaper than Photoshop. Nothing is more expensive than Photoshop. And you can do it with a mouse relatively easily. I'm using the tablet because that's, what I'm used to. But I know some people that will do this with a mouse, and they do just fine. Right now I'm trying to do a sort of battery. And I want it to be a little bit stylized, which is why I'm doing this. I want it to stand out on the map. But I'm not a super big fan of how this is looking. Maybe it'll look better when it's, in-game. This recent Christmas break ended abruptly for me. It was supposed to go a little bit longer. And things came up and suddenly changed that. Life is like that. And unfortunately, that means that I was unable to get done all the things that I wanted to get done. Maybe later on, I'll finally get to... Maybe later on I'll do some... take some extra time off to try and finish some of those projects. But one of those projects was this game. And the game is mostly done. And that's why we're doing the artwork for tonight. Trying to get this with some custom artwork rather than the simple stand-in stuff that I was using, which I still did. It just was not very good. Good thing Clip Paint Studio is, or at least was, often in a package with tablets, so it was technically free. My example, yep. Oh yeah, indeed. They definitely did a good job with that. Definitely did a good job. Along with some other programs that I never opened. Oh yeah. There is a big push for people to try and capture artists early on. They will make their tools relatively free, and then they'll gradually make them more expensive. That's what happened with Adobe. I did not know how kind of troublesome this could be. But it is where there are some people that have the idea of make your tool cheap or free. Then you get the next wave of artists. When they become familiar with your tool, you then increase the price so that you prevent them from being able to go to another tool. One of the problems, though, that a lot of companies didn't realize is that we've now reached a point of where software is becoming fairly easy to jump between. And that issue is no longer as much of a roadblock. Being able to jump from tool to tool is actually very useful these days. And I highly suggest doing that. This is my first time of using this program, and I do like it. I'm not a super big fan of how it's laid out. It takes a little while to get used to it, but so far it's not bad. Yeah, it's not bad looking. Not incredible, but not bad. I wonder if Adobe ever gave out permanent licenses and packages with something. They did once upon a time, back before they went to their, subscription model. But it was different. It wasn't a permanent license. It was a 3-year license. And people didn't know that. And some people were surprised when their permanent license disappeared one day. Most software was on a 3-year span, which worked out fine. Most of it became irrelevant with computer updates. And then if you want to get the updates, then they changed that around. But, times changed and computers became more stable, and now you're not getting a new computer every year like some people used to. Now you're getting a new computer once every couple of years. And now you can hold onto your programs for a very long time. Other programs I got in the package are Corel, Aftershot, and Corel Painter Essential. I really started using Clip Studio because it was the first in the list. You should definitely dabble in the other ones. Get familiar with them. You don't have to use them forever, but you do want to try and experiment a little bit. And that's something I did learn. It's beneficial over several years of drawing. Sorry about that. Corel Paint was actually my very first software that I ever got to use. Art software. And it did the job. Could it have been better? Absolutely. But it wasn't a bad tool. I actually really enjoyed it. It did have a lot of good utility. It also had a lot of problems, but it was pretty good overall. Okay, so now let's look at the old battery compared to the new. And I might do another few changes here because I want it to stand out a little bit more. Okay, so this is the old battery. You'll notice it kind of looks a little too much like a bomb. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to get away from that design. It was a very simple one. I wanted to be a battery. Actually, it does make me think. I kind of want to have it rounded at the bottom. There we go. Now it's rounded, and let's round this top area too. What sort of art projects have you been working on recently, Jessica? Only issue I have with Clippaint Studio is that it started to corrupt files more often recently, leading me to lose progress in some art, sometimes hours. That's very interesting. I would doubt if it's actually Clippaint Studio. That sounds like your computer is starting to die. I've experienced that before. There was 2 computers that I had where literal smoke came out of them. I got to see computers when I was working on projects go to the graveyard. It is kind of interesting, actually. But anyway, it is something you do have to look out for. It does eventually reach a point where your computer can no longer handle it. And so I won't say it's necessarily what is happening, but you have to take that into consideration with, you know, if you've been working on a computer for a while. Okay, save that. And now let's export this as a PNG. Export. It doesn't support layers. Yeah, you know that. Get rid of that. And now let's take a look at what it looks like inside the game. Okay, so now here is the current game. As it is, right there you see the battery off to the side. Let us now update that. Where is that file? Here we go. Let's see. Battery. Version 2. All right, let's update this and see if the battery's there. Aha, there we go. Look at that. Battery is right there. You found a battery. Psst. Okay, now next let's update these keys. I'm not a fan how these keys turned out, and that will be an easy one to update now that I got a better idea of how this program works. New one of 40, because that's the pixel scale that I was working with for this game, because it seemed to mathematically make sense. Got me so paranoid and careful with it that I started to double check and even save the file in 2 formats. Hey, you know, that makes sense. I used to do the same sort of thing. I got very paranoid, and I started making it a habit of doing like a control save constantly. That's one of the reasons why I save in iterations as well. It's a healthy thing to have a little bit of paranoia about it. I will say that. I remember that I save it as, made sure it was there so it looked normal, but next day it didn't even have an icon and it couldn't open. Darth Sidious. Indeed. Yes, that is a computer problem. That is probably very unlikely to be a software problem. That sounds to me like your computer's having some glitches. Double check that everything is updated. That's a good way to get started. Good way to get started. Okay. Key here. Start off with a shape. I want it to be somewhat futuristic looking. So as such, it's going to have kind of a plug system, then actual key system. Futuristic sort of concept, that is. Starting off with a silhouette, and I'll go back and start adding in contours in color. Oh, interesting. 8-year-old, poorly maintained PC. Yeah. My computer's 10 years old. It has gone through earthquakes, a very severe earthquake. It's had multiple problems that have arisen, and it's still going. I refuse to get a new one right now because computer prices went out of control. So I'm trying to make do with this as long as I can. It was a very expensive computer, and it never got really paid off in the way that I wanted. It took me 10 years to pay off this computer. I was expected, based upon finances, to pay it off in a year. Then the industry crashed, and I never got my money's worth out of it. Sometimes you make an investment that takes a very long time to pay off. It's a very frustrating thing to have to wait for that day, for it to finally say, okay, yes, I made a wise decision. And sometimes you never get to that point. Sometimes you never get to say, yes, I did the smart thing. I became very good with PCs as a result of having to take care of mine. My father's generation had to take care of cars and machines. We can no longer do that. Not easily. The thing that we learned to work with was computers. And now they're trying to lock down computers. They're using AI to try and limit what people can do on a computer. Expect it to get really, really bad. I've been hearing the predictions, and I think that they're very accurate in some of their claims. A lot of people recently actually have started to turn on AI. It took a long time for some of these people to come around, but it finally came for their job. And they're like, oh no, this is what everyone was so worried about. No, duh. And so some bigger names are starting to realize it. Well, one of the things that they've been saying they're going to do is they're going to make it almost impossible for people to own a PC. If that is indeed the case, then that's going to be really frustrating for artists, because I do not want to use an AI when I have my hands. So I'm going to physical media as of late. I've been learning how to paint again, learning how to draw again with physical paper, whatnot. It's been a pretty neat return to physical media. I'm going to keep doing that more and more as time goes on. We're going to use a different technique for this one because there's going to be multiple keys. I want to have a different color for each of them. So we're going to do this in white, and then we will shade it and then change the color. So I did figure out a game that I want to try and make. This game has taught me the skills to actually make that game possible. And it would be a non-fighting game. And I actually really like this game idea. But to pull it off would be very difficult and would take a very long time. So I'm not going into it just yet. I have to think about it. I have to get Milo and the Demon Bear out first. Then I can start thinking about it. Because I got other projects that need to be finalized too. But it is something where I'm willing to consider it. I'm just not going to, throw myself into it and get myself into, in over my head. Clean maybe once a year. The only thing I could change is switching the hard drive with, a solid state drive could help out. That could be something that's going on. The way that you're treating the machine also could be impacting it. Because I cannot see how you treat your machine, I don't know. We had someone in my area that was asked me to come over, take a look at their computer. It did not take me but 2 minutes to realize what was going wrong with their computer. And it was a user error. But it wasn't something that they would have known immediately. It was something that would have been very confusing to them until they got someone who knew what they were doing to actually look at it. And I gotta say, it is indeed hard to try and figure that stuff out until you've slowly crawled through every possible problem. That's something I learned about the game, actually. I had some things that caused me immense frustration. I would spend hours trying to get a simple thing fixed, something I had done immediately and couldn't figure out how to duplicate it. And then I found out how to duplicate it, but then I realized that I had to do it better. Well, I finally got it to a working state, but there's still a couple of bugs here and there. I will be getting it refined very soon, but the list of bugs started out like 50 bugs. Now it's down to about 5. You learn that through slowly becoming familiar with the tool. And eventually, it will make sense, and you'll be feeling a lot more, feel like there's a lot more potential, but it takes a little while. Interesting. How are you supposed to do this? Oh, here we go. Oh, that's where it is. Aha. Change the thermal paste like once or twice. Thermal paste isn't usually a problem unless you're having like very clear problems with computer temperatures. If you touch your PC and it's hot, that is a very bad sign. Very bad sign. I learned that just before my computer burst into smoke. I put my hand on the side, and I was like, wow, that's warm. After a couple more days of working with it, I touched the side of it, and I was like, that's actually hot. I put a wet towel over it to see what would happen, and it dried off the towel in a few moments. Well, a few minutes, but you get the idea. So I learned the hard way, by loss, how to get better at it. The human mind is able to learn so many things. Most of the time it comes about out of necessity, out of a need to learn and get better. It's not easy. It's not always fun. Correction, it's rarely fun. But after you've done it a couple times, it actually becomes a little fun. It becomes enjoyable in the sense that it becomes a challenge. And it's no longer intimidating. Now it's more just frustrating when something happens. I'm like, great, I didn't want to have to learn stuff today. And it ends up being an education process. I'm basically computer illiterate, so I never even thought about building a PC myself or changing something in it except the SSD. Additionally, which almost broke my PC. Yeah, it's a miracle that it works. Slowly learn. Well, correction. Don't take my advice necessarily in this. Right now, they're trying to get rid of people's access to PCs. So, it could be that I tell you some advice and then you get sabotaged because of that. So, I won't say that. But I will say it's good to be familiar with the tools of the trade. And computers are right now still the tool of the trade. I had an art teacher who missed out on a small fortune because he did not know how to use computers. Now, you should not be doing stuff just because it makes you rich. But this one was one where he was literally getting requests and he didn't know how to do it. And so thus, he missed out on a tremendous amount of income. And it would have helped him because there was a big financial burden that came upon him that caused him to quit art entirely. Now, some people would say that's a reason to also learn AI. I would disagree, because AI has a lot of legal problems coming its way. Oh, it's got a lot of legal problems. If you've been paying attention to social media at all in this last couple of months, AI is in big trouble from a legal standpoint. They've crossed so many lines, and people have finally started to have it. You don't want to use a tool right now when so many people are becoming embittered about it. Something to just remember. I'm liking how this is turning out. So we got this key here. Let's expand it out a little. I wish that was a hotkey right there. Most interesting. Right now, let's add a little bit of extra detail in here, just for the sake of it. We wanted to kind of look a little bit like cables inside of there. That looks decent. And now the last little bit, and some extra shadowing in this, in these little crevices. That's it. Okay, we got our key. Now let's change the color. Do you think computers will go the same direction as Steam or new Steam machine PCs, Xbox or PlayStations, where they make a console PC as one solid piece that you can really customize inside? You can't really customize inside. Let me mention the what the rumor is. Now, you do not want to go around believing rumors just because. But I've learned in recent years that you can't ignore them. This is one of the reasons why I'm so very concerned about AI. If you are familiar with Alex Jones, now some people love him, some people hate him. Some people are kind of indifferent. I'm somewhere in the middle. I think I'm a little bit more like in the middle of all three of those. I find some of the stuff he says informative, some of it is crazy, some of it is irrelevant, and he's just hyping stuff up. But he said something years ago that I've never been able to shake out of my head. It was a statement that if they write about it, believe them. Now, what does that refer to? If someone comes along and says, hey, you know, we don't like the fact that people are able to customize their cars. It could be dangerous for people to customize their cars. Well, what they're really saying is that we're planning to put restrictions into cars in the future. Oh, you want to have a better engine? Too bad. You're not going to be able to get it. Oh, you want to be able to change your own oil? You need a special tool for that. Oh, that tool is going to cost you a fortune. you better just take it into the mechanic. That's what happened to cars. Most cars, you cannot do anything with them. It used to be you could replace the entire engine yourself. It used to be you could take your car apart piece by piece and then reassemble it. My dad did that. I can't. My car is so highly advanced and mechanically compressed that if I was to do that, I would break something. Most people cannot alter their cars anymore. PCs are going that way. And it has me concerned. Because when you do that, the cost goes very high. It's one of the reasons why I hate Windows 11. It is trying to prevent you from altering your computer. That means you have to spend more on your PC. Think how expensive a car is these days. Back in the day, you could have gotten a car based upon the wages you got for a summer job. 3 to 4 months worth of wages could get you a car back in the day. It now takes you a full year's wages. In many cases. That's if you scrape every penny. If my car was to be destroyed tomorrow, I would just have enough to get myself a new car. I've been saving for years. To get a new car would destroy me. If PCs become expensive, I'm not going to be able to use it. PCs have already been seeing their costs increase. I think it's going to become like the Steam machine. I think that is the future, and I don't like it. I really don't like it. Steam's at least making a good option. Other PC companies, though, they're not doing such a good option. The most terrible situation is, like I said earlier, just like Alex Jones said, when they write about it, they mean to do it. There's talk among companies to get rid of PCs altogether. Google tried to do it, and they failed. They jumped the gun. The technology wasn't ready. They're going to try and do it again. The concept in the future is going to be even more ridiculous than what you may think. It's not going to be a steam machine. It's going to be your phone. It's going to be to the point of where you take your phone and you set it on the table next to you. And that is your key. Your screen turns on. You have your mouse, you have your keyboard. And then you see an internet signal start to wave back and forth. And then it locks on, says, "You're connected," and up comes your desktop. You have no machine. It's a cloud-based tool. And then you want to try and make a document, and they're like, well, your AI assistant will make the document for you. Just tell us what you want it to say. And then it spits it out. You don't have the option to decide what it is that happens with that tool. The company will push out updates. The AI will lock you in. These are not me just trying to come up with scenarios. This is something I heard about years ago of what computer companies were saying the future was going to be, which means they're investing into that future. Become ungovernable. I used to think that sounded ridiculous. I now am all for it. Do not allow yourself to be controlled by a company or a government or a machine. You are a creation that was made with intelligence, wisdom, and possibilities. God made you with great, great potential. Companies and governments cannot prevent you from pursuing that. Do so wisely. Don't become a danger to society. Become wise and don't allow them to control you. That's a long story. But yes, you are going to see a lot of big changes to stuff like your PC becoming more like a console. That's a good reference. You probably will see that within the next few years, actually. Let's make this a red key. Come over here, and we want this to be properties. Color. There we go. We have our red key. I get the freedom part, but I don't really need it for at least for PC stuff. Yeah, I can understand that. It's more like just be forewarned. This is where things are going, and so if you have the chance to learn, definitely, it can be helpful to both you and your community. Opacity, bring that way down. Why is this not working? Hello? Why is this not working? Oh. It was kind of working. Okay, we won't worry about that. We got our key. That's enough. We're going to do one more quick little change. Then we'll color the rest of the keys. Just add a little bit of highlight right along there. Wonderful. Okay. Actually, I want that to be a little bit more vivid right here. So let's do this. Let's there we go. We want something akin to that. Before and after. There, now it's like actually red. So we want it to stand out on the floor. While this is more realistic, that's going to be more beneficial for the player to see it. Cloud-based PCs sound super cool though. I really enjoy cloud-based gaming. At least just open it and basically play on someone else's PC, a game which won't be able to run on my PC. So maybe huge AI data computer centers in the future, I won't mind so much. I can understand that. I can definitely understand that sort of sentiment. But now what happens when they decide that they don't want you to have access to something? That's where it becomes a problem. Just like with a PC, just like with a car. I can't make my own car anymore. My father and his generation could have. They could have saved a lot of money. Spend it on a house instead. Interesting times we live in. Very, very interesting. I'm just changing the colors around so we have different keys to work with. There we go. That's enough keys. Save as. Nope, that's wrong. Export as key 1 version 2 because we have another one out there. Save. Key 2, version 2. Key 3, version 3. And key 4, version 2. There we go. All right, let's bring up the game again. Let's see, where is that? Got it right here. All right, here's the game. That's the original key. And now we're going to change out the keys in this scene. 1, version 2. Copy that. Go to the other keys. Key version 2. Key version 2. Okay, I think that's good. There we go. We got our keys out there. Those didn't turn out so bad. Oh, wait. The colors are wrong, though. Picked up a red key. This one needs to be 1, I think. Yeah, there we go. Yellow key. Red key. Zap the monster. And we can go through the gate. You see the little keys off in the corner up there. You basically would connect a monitor to some kind of receiver and voila, everything's set. People don't complain about movie streaming platforms, so why would they about game? Oh, ho, 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 ho. You have no idea the amount of time and effort I've spent into building up my DVD library. So, back when I was in college, Blu-rays were just starting to be phased out for streaming. A friend of mine bought, what was it, $2,000 plus worth of movies. He bought about $1,000 worth of games. He did it all on a platform, a streaming platform. What is the name? I don't remember, because it went out of business. When it went out of business, they locked his account because the account no longer existed. He lost thousands of dollars worth of material, and he had spent the last couple of years getting rid of all of his physical media. I watched that happen, and I saw when he was furious, storming up and down, mentioning about how he lost it all. Happened to me. I had a couple of streaming videos, DVDs that I got access to. I lost access when the company went under. A second company that we don't know about anymore. Things do change, and Netflix will not last forever. Question is, will the company that buys them out responsibly keep people's accounts? That's one of the reasons why streaming is becoming popular, because it can't buy that. It cannot buy it until you find something you really, really want, and it's gone. That, for me, was Mythbusters. Mythbusters, for about 10 years, disappeared. You couldn't buy it. They stopped streaming it. The reason why is because there was a lawsuit that was going on about who had rights to it, and I could not watch Mythbusters. I finally found a used copy, and I was able to watch some of them. I could not watch them all. So, yes, that stuff eventually does come back to bite people. But the question is, who cares? Well, those that get hurt. Long and short. Those that get hurt are the ones that become frustrated with it. I became frustrated with it. Doesn't mean that others will. But me and a lot of other folks I know have started building up our physical collections again. Because we got spooked when we realized that Disney was threatening to alter old movies. They will do that. AI has made it possible for them to do it very easily. Anyway, that's why some people, like myself, like many of the people I know in my circles, are actually avoiding the streaming platforms. We no longer accept them because they burned us too many times. Maybe the next generation won't care. I don't know. But one day somebody will inherit my collection of movies. Okay, what is the next thing that needs to be altered? The map. Okay, now this one is a little bit more difficult. I want to make walls. Different types of walls here. Sprite. Map. Tile map. Oh, that's cool. You can always pirate. Yeah. Yo ho. That will work for a little while. I want you to think about, think in terms of what someone of power would want. This is something that I've been finding not many people understand the temptation of power. It's a really weird thing, honestly. Let me put it like this. The poor man craves money because money will make his pain go away. Money will give him opportunities that no longer exist. The rich man craves power because they can buy anything they want. But when you can buy anything, the one thing that you want more than anything is to get people to do what you want. Because everything else you have is provided for. The temptation of power is something I hope very few of us ever have to deal with. I've seen people who have the temptation of power in them. They're evil people. It's like looking into the eyes of a demon. Desperation. You will do what I want. That is how tyrants are built. Now, take that mentality and put it into a tech company. Give them an AI, a free enforcer that can do whatever you want. It detects that you are that you're watching a movie you're not allowed to. Then it not only prevents you from being able to watch it, it also files a lawsuit against you. Your AI, their AI lawyer files a copyright penalty, and you get penalized, enforceable by police. This is the future. How do I know this? Disney does this. There was a children's there was a kindergarten in Australia. Very well-known case. They had a picture of Mickey Mouse on the school. It's just on one of the rooms, painted by hand, local artist. A Disney lawyer found out about that and got the school shut down. A kindergarten. Disney was so angry about that, they shut it down to make an example. I got to see as my school got sued because a student had pirated material. AI lawyers are on their way. Some of them are already existing. But imagine that. You lose all access to web-based tools. Part of the punishment for, pirating. AI will be the snoop in your life. I was talking in a room, and my phone detected it. I started getting bombarded with advertisements for something that I didn't want, but I was talking about it to somebody. Imagine everything you do being snooped upon. They weren't angry, they just smelled money. It's a weird thing. I've met a couple of people, though, that are in this temptation for power. It's a really weird thing. It's when you can buy anything you want, and then suddenly somebody tells you no, they don't want it. It's very intriguing to watch what happens to somebody like that. That rage that sets in. Anyway, I've talked about power before. There was a man that I got to observe. He had that temptation of power in his eyes. And one day, he smirked and was telling his business partner, well, not business partner, his friend, how much how he really liked to tell people to do things. He liked the thought of that people would look to him as like well, for lack of a better term, a deity. People have to consult him, ask him what he wants. And in doing so, making them subservient to him. Leaders throughout history have struggled with this desire. Our businessmen are starting to realize that they too have that itch, that desire for more, for power. But so raises the question, why do they have to have this? Why do they have to try and control things? It's a good question. I think it's because there is something spiritually happening within them that makes them desire that power. Something that causes them to despise other people that don't do what they say. There was a guy I worked for years ago. He had this temptation. I was accommodating. I grew up in a military family. I know how to obey orders. He didn't have a problem with me until one day when I challenged him. And I said, hey, we got a problem. He didn't just disagree. You saw his complete demeanor change. No longer was he kind of carefree and laid back. He suddenly was like, how dare you question me? That sort of thing. And suddenly I felt very nervous around him. I didn't know what to expect, what he would do. Lo and behold, he showed exactly what he would do. He would get vengeance. Again, I hope we never have to deal with that in our lives. When you meet someone who is possessed with this desire for power, it makes every other temptation seem not minuscule, but it seems fixable by comparison. The desire for power changes it all. It's a really weird temptation. Okay, I gotta figure out why the scale's wrong here. But anyway, that to be said, these companies do have a very malicious intent, because some of them have that desire for power. Some people are just fine with some of the things that these people want to do. Some people will not be. I'm going to tend to be a little bit more cautious about what these people intend to do. I felt it a little bit. I felt like I knew what I was doing, like I was getting smarter in my craft. And one day someone came up and said, "Hey, we know how to do it better. You don't know anything. Let us show you how it's done." I felt a resentment growing. How dare they question my skills? I wasn't willing to listen. Now, granted, they had a bit of desire to kind of show off. That's also understandable. But I realized how easy it was to slip into that. What's going on here? Just a second. What the heck? Okay, I think that resolved the problem. Weird. Anyway. I want to see people become wiser and more caring. And when you suddenly see somebody wanting to tear someone down because they wouldn't obey them, it's like, why are you so obsessed over this? I watched as I was at a company, went from about 120 employees, and over 1 year went down to less than 40. I think the final number was 30. 120 to 30 employees. Why? The business owner had a terrible, terrible temper. And he was firing multiple people a week. Very spectacularly. Then he'd go around bragging about it. "Look how much power I have over these people. They'll never work in this city again." Laughing maniacally. Okay, maybe the laughing maniacally was more like kind of snickering. But he was a mean man. A lot of very foul intent. He had a bit of a Napoleon complex. He wanted to show off his power. He was a short man. And he wanted others to see him as big and powerful. And he did it by hurting people, ruining them. That's how he used his money. And that's when he started realizing what he really craved was power. The power to tell people how things should be. To order people around. The temptation of kings. Anyway, stuff to consider. Stuff to avoid, honestly. It's like, hey, you know, you may have struggles, but when you meet somebody who has the temptation of power, you start to think, you know what? Lord, I'm grateful that you spared me some of those horrible things. Okay, so let's see here. When we have that, there's supposed to be a new grid that appears. Is that right? This right here? How do I do this? Just a second. I need to pull up a better tutorial. This is not helping. Tile map. Aha! Here we go. This looks more helpful. Yep, here we go. Tile map. Okay, showing off how to do that. Are you still mad at Twitch? Or are you considering coming back? So, for those that watch this in the future, which we've actually had quite a few people watching these videos after they go offline, so after I go offline, so the reason why I left Twitch is because they started giving death threats, and I would report it and nothing would happen. You can only be told to go and end yourself so many times before you're like, you know, I don't want to be around here. That was what happened. If they change that policy, I don't have a problem going back. Not a terrible thing. I got started on Twitch. I see a lot of good that can happen over there. I just couldn't take the violent rhetoric that I was getting from their bots, and a couple of people that were using it to terrible effect. When that policy changes, I still got the switch still have the switch like available when I start the stream. I can just toggle that back on in a moment. I do know a lot of people do still prefer Twitch. A whole lot of people. I don't blame them. I think Twitch is actually far better for live streaming than just about any other platform. But it does have a couple of issues. That being said, it doesn't mean the other platforms are, you know, void of that. I'm looking at you, Rumble. Yes, we have received some of that over on Rumble too, but it disappeared when I reported it. The moment it allows me to report and, you know, get rid of that stuff, I'll be happy. Now, that being said, I will always have a bit of resentment against Bezos, my former employer. A man who desires power, and I know he's not technically leading the company anymore, but he is at the same time. I remember how insulting it was working for them. It's like, you are the robots until we get real ones. Great. Yes, absolutely. The AI slop is disgusting. You know the worst platform for it? Facebook. Facebook is horrible. I'll mention the reason why the violent stuff was so upsetting to me. Because I hate the AI slop so much that I very much want to find alternatives. We had a couple of people that were watching on Twitch. Some people that were... A couple of people I knew that were... emotionally very vulnerable at that moment. And then we had all that nonsense coming in. And I thought, what happens if one of those things slip? I didn't know the state of people. I knew what it was doing to me psychologically, seeing that every single stream. But I thought, what would happen if other people who are having a tough time see that? That's what really angered me. Because then I got a message back from Twitch saying, we didn't find any sort of problems with this. Oh, you're just exaggerating. Okay, it's not how they did it, but, you know, it's something similar. We're not going to penalize. We're not going to allow this. We're basically going to leave it. You know, it's like, no, we can't do that. We cannot do that. So anyway, that's how all that happened. I mean, I don't see much AI, but I've seen lots of streams with some looping Roblox, Minecraft, brain rot, or something with thousands of watchers. Yeah. By the way, those thousands of watchers are probably other AI. Probably. This tile map thing's proven to be quite complex. I wonder how much money they make. They make a surprising amount. I saw that apparently each one of those videos gets them $1,000. You know how many of those videos they can make in a day? You're talking multi-million-dollar companies, all based upon slop. And the people that fall for it, people get hurt by it. Yeah, but it bumps them up a lot and sets them as popular streams on YouTube. Yeah. So when you doom scroll, you always encounter them. Yep. Indeed. Love to be able to... I have a theory about... Well, I figured out a tool that I could make. Something that would help to prevent the algorithm from controlling videos. I figured out how to do it. But no one would ever go to it. So thus, it'd be completely irrelevant. But that being said, I know how someone could fix that. It would not take much. In fact, it would take a team of about 5-10 people working full-time. Well, not even full-time, like part-time, to run a business that could fix the problem of the algorithm, fix the problem of AI slop. Who's going to invest in that sort of company, though? Like traditional brain rot, but it's another level. Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right there. Yeah, I might not be able to do this tile map the way I'm wanting, just because this is proving to be far more complex than what I was thinking. Well, hopefully, people start to finally tell these companies to stop doing it, but it will take a lot of effort from some people to finally pull that off. What the? Okay, I see how you're doing that. Show it. Oh, wait a minute. Oh. Is that what it is? Oh. Talmud. Okay, that's problem one solved. I think. Okay, yeah, that was indeed. Probably not going to get to this tile thing because I actually have to go to bed. I'll be back tomorrow to do more of this. Now that I have the program up and running, I've got some time to experiment with it. I was wondering if even against some policies, or it's not like they're doing something legal. They're just streaming a loop and aggressively trying to get donations from kids. Yeah, that's actually really, really bad. I heard about a kid that ended up getting their parents into huge debt. Parents couldn't stop it. Think what it does to the kids as well. That's sad. I was wondering if it's even reasonable to report it as spam or something. Not that YouTube would do much about it, yeah. YouTube is desperate to make that stuff work. And, by the way, there's a lot of people that are realizing that YouTube wants to replace all their creators with AI. I saw an example of that being experimented with. It's getting convincing. Within the next year, you're probably going to see some AI streamers starting to come online that are completely fake. Right now, there's a lot of people that are using AI to morph themselves into somebody else. Scary. Reporting it has not done much, sadly. It's one of my biggest problems with YouTube. That's one of the reasons why I was hoping Rumble would do better. And it's not. Oh, it is not. That's one of the reasons why I said, you know what, fine. Make it my own website. Well, that's done a lot of good. No one goes to small websites. The amount of views that's gotten for the website has been minuscule. Understandably so. But that being said, I hope one day that the website becomes the place where people go for that and I don't have to rely upon other platforms. Because, to be honest, some other platforms are going to get very problematic in the next couple of years. I've been hearing some of the rumblings of what that would look like, and not a fan. Not a fan of some of the things coming down the way. You're still on Rumble? Yeah, actually, we're streaming to Rumble right now. It's YouTube, Rumble, and X. I hate X. It is not a good place to stream. It has zero engagement over months. But I don't get the violent stuff. That being said, my time of streaming onto X is coming to an end. I'm not liking how that the platform continues to be worthless. It's also gone heavy into AI. I didn't know you could stream to Twitter. Yeah, you can. It's not very good. Basically, what it is you're streaming to to other influencers. The average person doesn't really use X. In that sense, people are more likely to use Instagram or Facebook. But I really don't want to go onto Facebook because of many issues. X was my solution for was a temporary solution, but it's not where I want to stay. I want to try and find something else. Maybe Twitch will be the place I go back to. It's been a while since I've looked into the rules of Twitch. I wonder if they have fixed this problem. I wish there was a streaming sharing blog site only for artists, like a Tumblr, but with a streaming community and stuff. Be fairly easy to make. In fact, I actually already made something like that. But for it to actually work, you have to have people that are, jumping on board. That won't happen for many years. You have to have a certain level of clout to do it. Someone with a large reputation can pull that off. Fame will get you that sort of success. I was watching as somebody came along and said, "Oh, I got this incredible idea. I'm such an innovator." And they presented an idea like no one else is doing this. And they were looking for backers. I looked at it and I thought, well, I made that thing actually a few months back. And here you are trying to promote the same thing. But you have the clout. I did not. You learn the hard way that you are not original. You come up with a lot of ideas that other people are coming up with, and it's basically whoever comes out with them first. And those with the fame come out with them the loudest. That's why I can't stand when Elon Musk comes out and he's like, "Oh, I got all these great ideas, and I'm a bit of a genius." It's like, sure, you just got the money and the fame. That's how you're able to pull it off. Other people have had those ideas. So why is the grid not showing up? This is the thing I'm not quite certain about. It's currently unlocked. Oh, okay. Oh, that's... that's what it is. Well, that was confusing. Okay, well, I know how to do this now, or at least I got a better idea. So we'll come back to... Oh. That's pretty neat. You actually see the tile numbers on there. We'll be coming back to this tomorrow to explore this. But now it is time to sign off for the evening. Not quite yeah, it's kind of like a brush. So, that's the thing. I thought it was maybe a brush, but no. Well, yeah, it is. So you press like your pencil button, and then you're able to select over here the swatch that you've created. But now the question is, how do I load another swatch into there? That's the part I don't know yet, and I'll have to, because I don't even know how that one appeared in there. So it'll take me a little while to get that part figured out. But I got the general idea figured out. All right, folks. Well, we're going to call it there. Thanks, Jessica, for coming along this evening. If anybody finds this stuff interesting and wants to see more of it, consider liking the stream. If you disliked it, that's fine too. It means you're flesh and blood, and I value that more. I will look into see if Twitch is updated. We'll see. That being said, until next time, everybody, just remember this. You have a chance to make your community a little bit better every day. But money can corrupt your spirit, and power corrupts your soul. Cherish those around you and value them first and foremost. Do not crave the crown of a king, and don't envy his position. He's dealing with a temptation you do not understand. You understand something that he doesn't. You know the ability to be civil to one another. So until next time, folks, have a very pleasant evening.